Hello out there in the old board game world, this is me, the Ended Viking, and this is Coloma. Coloma is yet another fantastic Euro game from our awesome friends over at Final Frontier Games. I have I think I played everything that they've made, and I'm a huge fan of the strategy Euros that they keep coming out with. I love the worlds that they create in these things, and I really enjoy how they're able to interconnect a lot of the different mechanisms and like ideas about the game that just kind of keeps you on your toes and is always making you think. Coloma is a game for 2 to 5 people. It is from a designer by the name of Johnny Pack. Johnny Pack had an original design called Hangtown, which was actually kind of like the predecessor to this. This uses a lot of the same things that were going on in Hangtown, and that was one of my favorite games that kind of flew underneath the radar a couple of years ago. So I was really excited to play this, and surprise, surprise, it was awesome. So let me show you how Coloma is played, and we'll come back here and I'll give you my final thoughts. I like it. Alright, so this is Coloma. I'm going to show you how this game is played. Just keep in mind that the components and the board and everything, while this is a very high-end prototype that I was sent, they may change between now and when the game comes out. The game is played over a course of 3 rounds, and in each round there are 5 different phases. The 5 different phases are going to be highlighted by this little action wheel, and I'm going to talk about how that works here in just a little bit. But basically, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be secretly picking which segment of that action wheel you want. You're going to have this upside down, and then when everybody will reveal, and you'll see what each person took as an action. And each spot on that wheel has something different that you're going to be wanting to do. Just talking a little bit about what you're seeing on the board, and then I can dive into the actual process of the turn. Over here we have, these are gold nuggets. And you'll notice this isn't a 5-player game. I set up a 4-player game, so we don't have the 5th player, so there's gold nuggets missing there. Gold nuggets are resources that are going to be used to activate certain actions and what have you, but they also have a money value, and you can trade those in for a chunk, but you don't get change. So if you ever have a situation where a gold nugget is worth $3 and you're taking an action that costs $2 and you use a gold nugget for it, you don't get $1 change, you just lose that dollar. But as you can see, that there's gold nuggets here by this 1, gold nuggets by this 2, and gold nuggets by that 3. The way gold nuggets work is the more the gold nuggets are taken away from that section, the less valuable gold nuggets become. So if you're trading them in for straight cash, right away, if these 2 are gone, they're still worth $3. But the moment all 4 of those are gone, all of a sudden now they're going to be worth 2, and so forth. Now at the end of each turn, gold nuggets that are spent will then be placed back onto that, thereby theoretically increasing the value of the gold for succeeding turns. Down here we have river tiles. Rivers are tiles that you will build. These are basically you survey a river. You have these player boards, and what happens are you place this river right here, and you'll build that river, and then there's little bonuses for doing that as well. And then later, and then the same thing, you'll be building bridges, and depending upon the type of bridge, then you'll build that bridge. I kind of like this, just click, it clicks right there on top of that. And then bridges are a way to earn extra points at the end of the game. They don't score you any points right away, but what happens is, in this case, money that you have left over with this one will be worth extra points at the end of the game. So you can kind of pick your own end game scoring as long as those bridge tiles are available. There's literally unlimited numbers of rivers. You can just, because everybody can only ever build 4 different river tiles. But in this case, with a 4-player game, there are 2 of each type of bridge available. And so, if the 2 that you want are gone, and say this one for getting bonus points for horses, you really wanted one, both of those are gone, then unfortunately you aren't going to be able to build that. Okay, just kind of swiveling on over here. This little section here just tells you the value of the points for the gunfights. And gunfights are the last thing that happens in any given turn. Over here on the to do the 3 different turns, you'll see it says 2 gunfighters, 4 gunfighters, and 6 gunfighters. They're over here. So right now there's 2 gunfighters there, and there are ways that more gunfighters will show up at that spot looking to shoot up the town. You'll notice that there's all these little places over here where players are going to be able to place their own workers. And then here we have just the ever-present meeple that you'll be placing in those spots to fight those gunfighters. And it's not just you, other players will place them as well. And depending upon like who places, if you defeat the gunfighters, I mean you have more of your own gunfighters fighting against the bad guys, you can't equal them, you have to actually better them, then you'll get the big bonuses over here, where like the person who places first, they'll get the first player marker and they'll get 6 points, second is third, second is 3, third is 1. Notice that this 0, the person who placed the least number will actually have their people, even if they didn't put you up there because they didn't stop them, they shot up the town, or like innocent bystanders, even if you did defeat them, get shot up, and then you have to place your own dudes like in these little spots over here, like your tombstones, and those are worth negative points at the end of the game. So you can't just ignore that and expect everybody else to fight it, because you're going to lose dudes and you're going to end up having to place them in the ghost town, in your graveyard there. And the thing about that is, doubling down, is that you have like a limited number of resources available to you, meaning you have a limited number of like workers that you're going to be able to place into your lodge, which is right here. And if you run out of, if these guys are getting killed, you're going to have less options, you're going to have less resources available. So, you know, the gunfights are something that you should like have some sort of a nominal appearance up there, and don't just forget about it, because, well, that'll be a bad deal. Alright, so I'm going to talk about, you see these little hotel cards, I'll talk about those in just a little bit, but each person has a hand of cards. You'll be drawing these cards out of your deck through different actions. Once again, we'll talk about actions here in just a little bit. But these cards will have like different information on them, like so. And they'll have like how to build the different actions, and then you'll see like what phase or what wheel, wagon wheel. So wagon wheel 1 will activate this particular card, and then you're going to have like a shovel action will get you gold nuggets, and then like you'll see then the wheelbarrow action, you can use one like a dude to get gold nuggets 1 time. So you have like different things that'll activate. And when you build houses, and once again I'll talk about how you build stuff here in just a moment, you place them to the side of your player board like so, just to kind of show that you've built up, and like you can see that kind of matches up, because everybody gets this Sutter's Mill on their thing automatically, and then as you build these places, you build them out. Now, once you have houses or you have buildings built, you have the option of building hotels. And you know, I should mention, I didn't talk about like the cost of that particular card, but every cost for everything is up here, and I'll talk about why there's a hammer, you know, why there is a saw there, and you'll see there's different cost there depending upon the action that you use to activate this. Like here it would be $4 and you see 2 horses, and here it's like here it's 2 gold nuggets. I'm trying to get that in focus for you, I apologize. 2 gold nuggets and a horse to build those. But then you'll see like you'll get certain points whatever for building a hotel. But when you put that over it, what you've done then is you have covered up, you can't ever use that building then. The ability of that building is gone. So you kind of have to decide when you want to convert them to hotels, because hotels are going to be worth more points, and if you don't win points, you're not going to win the game. Alright, so then over here we have this kind of wagon train area, and this is kind of a neat little spot where different actions are going to allow you to move wagons on that track. And you'll, depending upon the number of horses you have, you don't spend the horses during this action. So if you have like 4 horses in your lodge, you're going to be able to move your wagon 4 spaces. You don't have to move it 4 spaces. I'll tell you why you wouldn't want to do that in a second, but you can move as much as you want. Now, as there's spots on these little wagon trains that you're going to follow on that are like these horseshoes, which are nothing. It's just a space that gets taken up. And I should mention, one of the cool things is if another person's wagon is on a spot, say like this wagon is here, and I want to travel down that, I wouldn't even count that space. I would get to skip it, because you can't be in the same spot unless it's one of these big towns that's over here. Interesting note, there's a town called Hangtown here. Coloma is based on a fantastic preceding design from the designer called Hangtown, which is a game I really, really enjoyed. But that's neither here nor there. We'll just move forward. But when you pass over spots that have a bonus, like here you see like it's 2 dudes, like you'd get 2 dudes that you'd add up. And so you move over. Here's some gold nuggets on these spots. Now these towns, multiple places you can stop on these towns and you can be there. And then you're going to get the options of what you want to take. So like 4 dudes or a tent and things like that. And you'll be able to snag those in those spots. And you can stop there, and stopping there gives you actually a bonus of being able to do there. But if you wanted to go over it, you definitely can. But just keep in mind, no matter what your movement is, you can stop at any time. You don't have to go your full movement. All right, so then up here, finally, this shootout area, you'll notice that there are these barrels. We're not playing with 5 players, so I don't have a barrel in that spot. Barrels just give you a bonus. When you take them, you'll get that particular bonus. Like here's one that gives you a horse, or $3, or draw 3 cards. There's a signpost there. I kind of put it up there just so I can show you that there's a signpost action, but you don't know what a signpost action is because I haven't told you about this wheel yet, but just keep that in mind. Like when you take those, however, down below it'll say like 1 bandit, 2 bandits, 3 bandits, 4 bandits. So if I took this particular one because I really wanted those $3, I would have to add 2 bandits to the pool, meaning that now there's going to be even more things that people are going to have to fight. Now maybe I do that on purpose because of the fact that maybe I had enough to fight those bandits up there, and I know I was going to defeat them, and I know I was going to get a bunch of bonus points, but I really wanted other players to not have enough to beat it or something like that. You can kind of or worst case scenario, like let's say you wanted to lose, but you still had a bunch of people there, so you're going to get 3 points and you're going to get the first player marker, but now the people that are stuck in 3rd place are all going to lose a person too. So there's kind of a back and forth there. You can kind of make up your decisions as far as that. But anyway, so the barrels that you get, you don't have to use them immediately. You can hold on to them, and then you can use them at any point. They're just kind of like, hey, and that's considered to be like stolen goods too. So if you want to play the bad guy, I guess, and if you can play a bad guy in a Euro, then yeah, that's you trying to take those from there. All right, so that's like the board, right? And that's what the board does. But now let's actually talk about the process of a turn. So the way the turn works is, like, as I said, there's going to be 5 different phases of each turn. And you'll notice that there's a 1, there's a 2, there's a 3, there's a 4, there's a 5. Now, what's going to happen is that the first thing that happens at any given turn is like normally you'd be moving it because of the first turn you'll have this, like, so it's number 1, whatever bonus you get in that particular spot, everybody's going to get. So in this case, it's getting 2 dudes. So people are going to get 2 dudes. Over here, they get a gold nugget. Over here, they get to draw 2 cards. Here, they get $2. Here, they can trade in a gold nugget for 3 points. Now, here's the thing. There is a spot, and it's spot number 5, that allows you to place your camps. Now, and I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, and I'll come back to how you place these camps. When you place a camp, you can place a camp on any one of these spots that you don't already have a camp on. What that does is it doubles the bonus of that particular phase. So if I'm here, I wouldn't get 2 dudes, I get 4. If I was over here, I wouldn't get $2, I'd get $4. If I was here, I'd be able to trade in 2 gold nuggets for 6 coins. You get for 6 points. You get the point. You get the how that works. It's pretty straightforward, but it's a very valuable spot. But that isn't the only place you can put your camps, and I'll explain that also in just a little bit. All right, so the whole thing works is that everybody's going to look at the board, and they're going to say, and so there is this cool little like basically this revolving action meter, and what it does is that whatever spot it's covering up, it covers up that particular action and replaces it with this action right there. And so what happens is that everybody's going to take their wheel, and they're going to secretly look at their options, see what they want to do, and they're going to decide what action they want to take. So let's say, like, for like I wanted to put dudes out to fight the bad guy. So I'd pick number 5, I turn that over, and I turn it over, and everybody would see it. And they then pick their action. Now, depending upon what happens, I'm just going to grab the workers here. Depending upon what happens, I did not use red. Now, everybody's going to place their things down. So if I said I was going to put dudes, I place it on there. Perhaps 2 other people decided they wanted to do the hammer, this action over here in phase 3. I'll explain all the phases and what each thing does in just a moment. And then they picked this one. They wanted to go looking at rivers and dig up rivers. All right, so what happens is that whatever spot has the most people on it, it's going to have this section of this particular part of the wagon wheel, the bust. It's going to go over and it's going to cover up the bust spot of that particular action. So what that does is it basically weakens that particular action spot. Now, if everybody had placed it evenly, like so, you don't move this at all. It stays covering this little area right here, which is that signpost, which I'm going to explain to you. So I kind of set this up on purpose so I can show you what the signpost does. So that's that. All right, so then what you're going to do is you're going to go phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and you're going to do all the different phases. So I'm just going to talk about the Barker action that's right over the top. As long as, and I'm going to talk about both the boom, like the normal action and the boom action as well. So you're going to have on each one. Just remember though, a lot of times if you chose incorrectly and there's too many people on that spot, you're going to miss out on the boom action because it's covered up by that particular red X. All right, so the Barker action is just really simple. It just allows you to trade goods for other things. That's the normal action. So normal action is you can trade $2. And then you get a horse. I'm sorry, you're going to trade, and these are infinity. You probably can't see that there's this little infinity symbol on there. A lot of the things will say 1 time or 2 time, but obviously infinity, you can do it as much as you want. But with that particular action, you can trade $2, and you can get as many camps, as many tents as you want. I mean, with the limit of how many you have. And you just pay the $2 and you get those things. You know, you are limited to the resources that you have on hand. You know, so if you've used up all your camps, you can't go ahead and buy any more. And then you trade gold nuggets for horses. And so then you would just, you know, obviously just add horses from the supply and add them on to your lodge. The boom action on there is actually claiming one of those barrels up there, and I talked about that. You're going to go ahead, and when you claim those barrels, you will you know, force more, well, unless you're playing 5 players, the fifth barrel won't, but the barrel will like create more bad guys that everybody's going to have to deal with. I'm just going to move this quickly so you can actually see the normal action over here, and I'm pushing these guys around, which is kind of fun to do, but I'm just going to move them off the spot. And okay, so over here we have like in this action, the normal action on phase 1 is a shovel, and the other action is the wheelbarrow. Now, there's going to be lots of different cards that are going to have, and like Sutter's Mill here, like the shovel action gets you 2 cards, the wheelbarrow gets you a gold. And so what you're going to do then is you're going to look at the actions, the cards that you built up your town, the phase 1s, that you're going to be able to take those particular actions. Pretty straightforward and pretty easy to grasp as far as that is concerned. All right, so moving on from phase 1, and we'll move into phase 2. Now, this is where you're going to be looking for, as I said, the rivers and the bridges. And the rivers, like, and depending upon, like, you're either going to do a river action using hammers, or you're going to do a river action using a saw. And so over here, and once again, you might have built out buildings over here that you've drawn cards for and built up buildings that you're also going to be able to take those actions as well. That's kind of like the thing I mentioned as far as building up your city. I like the fact that as you grow, these actions become more and more powerful for you, and you can actually kind of see what other people are possibly going to do, and you can kind of have a guess as to what spots they're going to go to, and maybe you'll have an idea about where you want to place your particular action. But so, like in this case, a hammer action for a river costs you $2 and 2 dudes. A saw action for a river is going to cost you 1 gold nugget and 1 dude. Bridges down here, 4 coins, $4 and 4 dudes. The saw action, 2 gold nuggets and 2 dudes. So, you know, it's one of those things where depending upon what you want to do, and you can't do them both. You can't take 2 hammer actions and say I'm going to build a river and build a bridge. But you could very well easily build a river, and then if you got the boom action, using the saw action to build a bridge on top of that river. That is a completely valid and possible situation that you can pull off in that particular thing. All right, so moving on, and I'm going to move the bus thing out of the way there just so you can actually see it. So here we have in phase 3, you'll see there is a hammer action and a saw action once again. this is the building, the town buildings and hotels. And it's just, like I said, if you happen to have a card in your hand, so like if you have, like if you wanted to build this express office and you look up on top there, like the hammer action you see is 2 coins and 2 dudes. And then the saw action to build it is going to be 1 gold nugget and 1 dude. And so you're going to do that. And you can, once again, by taking both those actions, if you have 2 cards in your hand, you could build both of the, take 2 actions as long as you have. Moving on, you have the wagon train. I've already talked about how the wagon train works. There's 1 wagon train action, 2 wagon train actions. If you can take both, you get to move your wagon twice, and you're going to get bonuses twice. And so you're going to be able to move them further up in that board and gaining more materials, more dudes, more gold, whatever it is that you're going to be claiming. All right, and so finally we have over here in phase 5, we have here we have like placing dudes. So when you place dudes up into the spot, you have to fill up an entire row. So like there's 1 dude, then 2 dudes, and 3 dudes, and 4 dudes. So like you'd have to have at least 2 to fill up that. If I wanted to put 4 up there, I'd have to like put all 4 there. And it is first come, first served as far as that goes. You can't double up on those spots. Once they're filled, and you can't like work with somebody. Hey, you put 2 people up there, I'll put 2 people up there, we'll cover up that row. You have to fill it up completely with your people. You can't share those lines with everybody. All right, so the comment, and then placing camps. I talked about placing camps. So when you place your camps, as I said, you can place them on these spots over here, and that's going to double those things. You can also, if you want, place camps in the different regions up here. You'll notice that there are those 5 different colors, and those are going to be worth points at the end of the game. So you don't get any bonuses from doing that during the game, but they are definitely worth points and definitely worth the bonus points when you place them up there. So you're going to probably want to take advantage of that. Maybe later on in the game, when getting your bonuses right away is important. And then the boom for that is just you gain a camp, and you're going to place that. Now, I should also mention, you can take your actions in any you can take your boom action before your normal action if you want to. They're interchangeable, and you can also skip actions too. The actions are not mandatory. You don't have to take those particular actions. All right, so I mentioned the signpost, and I was going to talk about that. So if the signpost is uncovered, if it does not have the bust action covering it like so, if the signpost is over there and you happen to be in that particular spot, what that does is the signpost actually points this way, and so it allows you to kind of, it's kind of like you're bridging both the sides. So you don't get this boom action that's there, but you'll get the boom action of the spot next to it. So in this case, you get a wagon, and you get that particular spot. And that's how the signpost. And remember how you can get that barrel with the signpost? So you could be in a spot where, let's just move this here, and you were in this particular spot, and you were like, you know what, I'm going to use my barrel, and that way you're going to be able to get action to this even if you aren't using the signpost for that particular spot. All right, so as I said, it's pretty straightforward as far as the actions. Once you figured out what you're going to be choosing, what you're going to be doing, then the turns do move rather quickly once everybody's on board what's going on. So after you get done with that, that's when you do your shootout. You'll compare the number of bad guys versus the number of people that are fighting it. You determine the rewards and the negatives depending upon if you put your own dudes up there to fight or not, and you're going to get the bonuses for that. And then you'll go on to the next turn, unless it is the third round. If it's the third round and then after the shootout, the game is over, and you'll figure out everybody's bonus points. You're going to get bonus points, I said, for lots of different things. You get bonus points for placing tents up in the frontier, like so. You get bonus points for the different bridges, depending upon if you use those correctly, and so on and so forth. Whoever ends up with the most points at the end of the game obviously did the best job in the game of Coloma, and they can consider themselves to be the best frontiersman or woman in the Wild West. This game is absolutely fantastic. I knew I was going to like it because I knew it was inspired by Hangtown, a game that I really, really enjoyed a couple years ago. And I found this to be, once again, Final Frontier Games is just like constantly making these fabulous Euro games with all these little interchangeable, movable parts, and they have yet to come out with a dud for me. I have found these games to be engaging, exciting, easy to teach, and a lot of fun to play. But more about all of that in my final thoughts, and I'll do that right now. Alright, so that is the Coloma. So, I already showed you how the game is played, and I talked a little bit about like the predecessor game and everything like that. It's just a fun game. There's a lot of different things that I like about things that are going on in this game. I like the different interchange between the different resources as far as what you're going to be using and how you're going to use it. Just the fact that the gold nuggets have a varying value to them. I really enjoy like the reveal moments. I've talked in a lot of my videos. I love reveal moments. I just dig trying to figure out which spots you want to use. And you're just kind of hoping, that like you're not going to get screwed over by your choice. And so there's that moment where everybody flips it over, and you're looking at everybody else's, and like you're like, oh, and you're there cheering, or you're like, dang it, because you really needed that boom action to help you out a little bit. Now, a lot of people are worried about that. I know a few people that I presented this game to, and I showed them to, well, it's like, oh, what if I pick the wrong thing? Well, the thing is that with like 5 different turns in each, 5 different phases of each turn that you take, the chances are you're going to get to use that particular action that you want, and it's going to still be there. You're going to run into a bust every once in a while, just because that's the nature of the game. But it'd be one thing if you only took like 2 actions, or per round or something like that. So it's like if you got a bust action on that, it would be like, oh, well, 50% of my turn is just screwed now. But because of the fact that you get 5 different chances to choose what you want to do, you're still able to build it up. And you do have to remember also that as you build up your town with different buildings, those are going to enable you to keep up to date with actions. Yes, you might not get to do the whole boom action added to it, but because of the fact that you're going to have a bunch of different things happening, as long as you are very good about building up that town, that you're going to be able to just kind of keep generating points. The big thing is you have to kind of, a lot of these games, it's kind of an engine building game, not in the real sense of the term, but there is a point where you have to kind of maybe just start making the choices where you're going to be building hotels, over the buildings that are really good for you. You have to realize that there's that spot, that time when you're going to click. You're going to click over, and you're going to stop using it to generate resources, and you're going to start turning these things into points and trying to create the best possibility, so then the end of the game comes, you're going to get that bonus. Kind of like the tents on the different spots. So do I put my tent, or my camp as it's known, do I put my camp on one of these phases? Well, no. I mean, probably if you're starting up the 3rd turn, having tents in those spots is okay, but fine now, because they were helpful for you at the very beginning. But that's when they're going to be the most useful for you, right? I mean, it's not going to be all that helpful for you to have those tents in those spots if all of a sudden now it's like, ugh, it's like you're not going to get any more actions on those anymore, so you need to take those off, and you need to put those tents in the frontier, because that's where they're going to be giving you points at the end of the game. That's going to determine how you win. It's stuff like that. It's little decisions like that. It's little fun little moments where you have to kind of decide what you're going to do. Do you as far as if you see somebody has lost 5 people, let's say they've had 5 people die in gunfights, and you know that if they lose 2 more, they're going to get into that precious losing 3 points per dead dude kind of thing. It's like, oh, do I jam a bunch of outlaws up there and then just say, oh, well, you know what, I haven't lost anybody yet, who cares if I lose 3, but you're going to lose a bunch, and you're going to lose a lot more points. So there's fun little decisions like that, and little tricky things that you can pull off as the game is played. And the big thing about me is that I'm an exploratory gamer. I like playing games like this because I like kind of delving into them and trying to figure out how everything clicks together and how everything works. And the problem with a lot of Euros for me is that there isn't enough player interaction, to keep games interesting to me. Once I've kind of figured out what you need to do, even if there's multiple paths to victory, once you kind of figure out, okay, well, this isn't working, so I'm going to go this way, or that's not working, I'm going to go this way. Those types of things happen. I lose interest, because now I'm just kind of oh, can I do better than my last time? And I don't really find that fun. But when I'm playing against other players who are going to actually have direct influence on my turn and affect the things that I'm choosing to do, that adds a complete chaotic variable into what I'm playing, and it keeps me interested. It keeps me trying to match wits with the other people that are across the table, and trying to do the best that I possibly can. And instead of just building a cute little garden and seeing if my garden's better than yours, now it's like people are like smashing my garden up, and I'm smashing their garden up. And don't take that like there's actually like combat between the players. It's just one of those things where it's like people are going to impede me a little bit if I don't make good choices, and more power to them, because by impeding somebody, you're elevating yourself at the same time. But anyway, there you go. I loved it. Like I said, Final Frontier just seems to be constantly putting out excellent games like this. If you're a fan of their other stuff, great. If you're a fan of the original Hangtown, I think you're going to love this as well. It's a cool theme. It's got great components, and it's just a heck of a lot of fun. If you have any questions or anything about the game, please ask Will. I'll be happy to answer those as best as I can. As always, be the most awesome version of you that you possibly can be, and as always, the more love and happiness that you spit out in the universe, the more is going to come and slap you back in the face. So remember that. Be that cool dude or dudette that people want to be around, and I guarantee you'll be a happier person. Until next time, this is Coloma. You be awesome, and I'll see you with the next video. All right.